Laura Post, and you are listening to the Audio Description Narrators of America Know Your Narrator series.
Today we have Schiff. He's a voice actor. So proud to have you here, Ellie. This is great.
Thank you so much for having me.
Jump right in. What do you love about audio description?
Man, it's such a wonderful world. I mean, there are people like you, obviously, who are a lot of fun and so knowledgeable and outgoing and willing to share. I think to me the most wonderful part about it is just getting to service a community that's really, it's something that really benefits people. And we really enjoy, or at least I really enjoy getting to share my storytelling with people who really can use it.
When it comes to storytelling and audio description, you're both a voice talent and also dabbled in some writing too, specifically within audio description, right?
A little bit. I'm still new to kind of both worlds, but I've been doing audio description for about 8-9 months now. And I'm just kind of, putting my toe in there when it comes to writing. I've done other kind of writing, like screenwriting and small scripts and pilots and things like that. So for me, I'm trying to figure out the way to use the writing ability that I have to transition that into audio description, it's one of those things that you think would be super simple, but because you have to describe everything in such a short amount of time, it's really a lot more complex than you would think.
Can you talk about some of the other similarities to the writing in both audio description and also the other writings that you've done, whether it's a pilot or?
Sure. The writings that I usually do have description in them, but there's no limit to what you have to write space-wise on a pilot. I mean, granted, for let's say a half-hour pilot, it's going to be 25 minutes or so you want to do about 25 pages. So for the last one that I wrote, it had a lot of description because there was a lot of action going on. And actually, I just recently put on Daredevil, and I was listening to the audio description for that, and I was like, wow, that must have been a lot of work. Because you have to describe this person punches that way and then this person falls this way. And you have to really explain what's going on in order for the person who is visually impaired to understand what's really happening. And you don't want to say punch 25 times either. So you have to look, knocked or slammed or whatever you're going to use to describe it. You have to look up all sorts of synonyms for words that you normally might not need to know.
That's the SARS job.
Exactly.
Let's talk about voice. When you do voicing on audio description, you've had experience doing voiceover in many other areas. Are there any similarities to audio description?
It's all storytelling. It's just figuring out where your voice sits for the specific show or video game or whatever it is. I got called in to do an audition for some video game. It was the young guy who's very excited, and that's very much my style. So it fit me well. But then they're like, you sound like you do older. So can you do an older sounding voice? So I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. So you look for the little parts that of you that sort of work for the different show or film or whatever it is. So when it came to audio description, I feel like almost less is more, because you want to describe it, but you also don't want to take away from what's going on screen. In some ways, I also learned that lesson because my wife is a cartoonist. So she's an illustrator. She draws comics and other such items. And when she draws a picture, or she has an idea for a picture, she'll be like, okay, here's what the words are going to say. And I know in my head what the picture is going to be like. So she's not going to necessarily use the same words that are describing exactly what's in the picture because the picture's already there. So you have to figure out what, in terms of sound, the people are listening to. And so that's kind of their picture. And then the words you add are going to fill in the blanks on what's missing. So it's almost like a little puzzle. I love puzzles.
It's like a little mini escape room trying to get out, figuring out how to get through the TV or movie.
Yes, I am kind of obsessed with escape rooms. Until obviously now we're kind of in the middle, whatever. But my wife and I used to love that. We'd go with friends and challenge ourselves, and we've done pretty well with them, I'd say.
That's great. Yeah, when it comes to those challenges of those escape rooms, there's also a lot of challenges that at least I've seen in audio description. Can you name anything that you've come up against, either in the writing or as a voice talent?
Yeah, definitely. I've some really great script writers. I don't know if you know Mari Morrison. She's awesome, and she's also a narrator. So the first script I worked on was one of hers, and it was just perfect. I mean, really, I don't know how to describe it better than that. Maybe I have to learn more words. But she's she's great. And the first one we did was wonderful. And the second one she did was also, it was so descriptive. The first one we did was The Healing Power of Dude. It's a coming of age kind of thing, a young adult show, a family friendly one, about a kid who has social anxiety disorder. So he gets a dog called Dude, and it's a very sweet show. And the second one we did was called Absurd Planet. For that one, she did such a beautiful job describing everything. But the problem was, and this is where I realized, oh, this is way more challenging than I thought it would be, it was a documentary. So you had the person who was basically narrating the whole thing was Mother Nature. And when Mother Nature wasn't speaking, all the animals were speaking. So they were like fractions of seconds where you can really put a word or three, so in the description it would be like beautiful trees in the horizon, and you had about half a second to say that. So we mostly changed it to trees. It was a very limited amount of time, and we had a whole bunch of episodes of that to do, and I had to warm up very vigorously before every single time we did one of those, because it was not easy. It was fun, and the show was hysterical. And again, she did a great job describing it, but it was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to manage to say these words in such a short time. But it worked out, and I think the result was really great.
If you were to think about the future of audio description in your dream world, just based on what you know, what would you want?
It's weird to think about the future. I kind of almost am thinking about the past. I would love for some of the older movies and shows and things that are now coming onto Netflix or Hulu or Amazon. I'd love to make some of those more available, because I imagine a lot of people haven't. Sorry to switch gears for a minute, but my wife was like, I really want to watch a movie a couple nights ago. And so we're like, oh, what can we show the kids? Oh, Princess Bride, let's put that on. And now I'm thinking, I wonder if there is a description for Princess Bride or some of those classic movies that we grew up with, or TV shows even. We're watching also with them Get Smart. We're teaching our kids to be from the from the 80s and the 60s, apparently. And, we have classic sense of humor. And I wonder if that would, I'm sure some of them exist, but at the same time, people are more moving forward and in some ways forgetting about some of the past. And it might be a fun thing to go back and really make it accessible for people who may not have had that opportunity. It's funny, I feel like we take for granted so much when it comes to television, and it's so wonderful that something like this exists. So to me, it seems like it's long overdue, but we live in such trying times. I know it's so cliche, but we do. We live in like the craziest world, I think, in the last 100 years. And to offer that just little bit of relief to somebody who wants to watch something and get a little joy out of it, and just giving someone that opportunity, it just makes me happy, and I'm sure that, look, just knowing you a little bit, I feel like you're the same way. It's the wonderful world that we get to work in, and it's so great that it's helpful, because there's so many other aspects where you could work and be like, oh, I hate doing this, and this is just a joy, So I hope to continue doing it for a while, and we can swap war stories more one day down the line.
Very cool. How can people follow you, either on social media?
So yeah, Twitter, Instagram. I usually answer more to Instagram than Twitter. I feel like it's so hard to keep up with everything. And I got 3 little kids, and I just like my time is so limited.
Yeah. What's your handle on Twitter or Insta?
On Twitter, I'm at Elliot Schiff, ELLIOT SCHIFF, and Instagram's pretty much the same. It's just Elliot.Schiff. You can see all the fun baking things that I do on Instagram, because I've become quite the baker since the pandemic. Actually, no, before the pandemic, but I'm the one who usually handles the cooking in-house. So keeps me busy like that. Just nice. I enjoy doing it.
Thanks for joining us, Elliot. This is great.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really great to get to speak with some more audio description narrators. It's like I said, it's such a strange and small world at this point, and just getting to chat with you is really nice. Thank you.
And thank you.